NFL playoffs going on this weekend. A lot of different things we can talk about. I think we'll start with Alabama because, quite frankly, I don't want to talk about Auburn. Maybe a couple of segments, maybe in the second hour. But let's start with Alabama because for the state and for that program, certainly it's a positive.
Well, ironically, I want to start with Auburn. But I will start with Alabama. I went to the game this past weekend. It was typical Alabama boa constrictor victory. And frankly, when Washington went up 7-0, I want to say this. The atmosphere in the Georgia Dome was much better when I watched it on TV than when I was there. I think, first of all, Washington brought some fans, but they travel a pretty good ways. And I think this is an offshoot of the playoffs in that, you know, if you're a Washington fan and you're hoping to go to the national championship, you're sort of like, okay, if we get by Alabama, I'll go to Tampa, but I can't do two 2,500-mile trips. And so Alabama certainly outnumbered Washington by a long shot. And I think Alabama fans traditionally, at least right now, traditionally and especially right now, sit on their hands a little bit. And they don't get quite as crazy. When Bo Scarborough had his big run, the place went nuts. When Ryan Anderson had the pick six, the place went nuts. Otherwise, though, there were so many times that I thought, man, I can hear everybody talking. And even when it was Washington 7-0, there was initial jubilation from the Washington folks that were around me. And even then Alabama drives right back down the field and scores, and they were like, well, that was fun. Overall, Alabama played good enough to win. The offense did not play well, and I think now we know some of that. Some of the reason why is that Lane Kiffin had 1 foot, maybe most of his body out the door in game preparation, and I think he also knew this defense, Washington's not going to score much on Alabama, so I can do just about whatever I want to. And I wish one of those things that he wanted to do was to hand off to Bo Scarborough more. He decided to hand off to him about, 18 times, 14 times, somewhere in that neighborhood. He got an Alabama Bowl record, 180 yards, and we finally saw the Bo Scarborough that everybody had been talking about all this time. But in the end, it was, for the most part, a ho-hum victory, I thought.
I thought it was also. And defensively, though, it kind of reminded me back to the Auburn game a bit. You watch them play offensively, and you know that unless Alabama breaks down in coverage in the secondary, there is no chance at all for Washington to score. And Alabama just does not break down when it comes to running the football on this defense. This is one that's in the middle of the defense. The defensive line and the linebacker play may be the best I've seen for Alabama, and that's saying a lot. Luke hates those best connotations and trying to make a decision on who's better than the other. This defense, because this offense is not very good, and I've had so many Alabama fans look at me this year and go, you're telling me Alabama's offense is not very good? Yeah, it's not very good. It's really not. And don't, let me finish.
And I'm going to.
I mean,
I'm taking my breath for a long retort.
Well, I know it. I know it's coming. But I said this going into the Auburn game, and it played out in the Auburn game. Jalen Hurts will give you chances. Mm-hmm. He will throw balls that you go, are you kidding? Is this the guy that we're putting up potentially as a Heisman Trophy candidate? What happened to these all-star receivers at times? And then you go back to the defense and you say, heck, it doesn't matter. We can't score on them anyway.
Yeah.
They're going to play awful and beat us 24-7 or 30-11 or whatever the score ends up being against Auburn. I mean, you don't stand a chance. That's how good this defense is. And I try to say that in a nice way, Luke.
I understand.
But it's such a mediocre offense.
Well, okay, let me say this first of all, that I think if Jalen Hurts had, give him Georgia's defense, he wouldn't have been SEC Player of the Year.
Oh, no.
And I admitted this the day he won it. He won SEC Offensive Player of the Year because the quarterback crop in the SEC was not good. It was average at best, probably a little bit below average. I hesitate to say the offense isn't good. They still put up some pretty massive numbers. They just don't hit the deep ball anymore because Jalen Hurts can't throw it very well. He doesn't have the timing with the receivers. He gets a lot of his yards on the jet sweeps, which I think we only ran one of this past week inexplicably. And we try to do things. It was like at times Lane Kiffin wanted to try to do things just to see if he could do them because he felt like I've got all the room in the world because they ain't scoring on the D. Might as well do what I want to.
Yeah.
But the other side to that is I would have liked to have seen just run it right down their throat and be done with it. I've had a couple of guys say, well, he's doing this to set up the run, and that's why it works. Washington couldn't have stopped Bo Scarborough if they had put Puget Sound in front of him. It wasn't going to happen. He was bigger and faster than everybody they had on defense. And then if you use Bo Scarborough in that way, and then you put Damian Harris back there, and then you put Josh Jacobs back there, and then you let
in a world that's
Jalen
ever
Hurts run
changing,
some. I
you have to
thought
be
Jalen Hurts on the read options kept the ball too much. I would have liked to have seen him hand it off a little bit more. That's not all on Kiffin, but overall the offense still is what it is. You know what Calvin Ridley can do. You know what Ardarius Stewart can do. We just can't get them to the ball in a deep situation.
You just don't get it. I'm not taking away their skill set. I mean, if Calvin Ridley had a great quarterback,
he'd be breaking records.
He'd be, and Ardarius Stewart, but they don't. And if Clemson can get them into a scoring battle, if Clemson can play anywhere near like they played last year, and I don't think they can, because I think Alabama's defense is that much better this year. But if Clemson can get it to that, Andy, we may see a special game like we got last year. But that's the only hope, because I don't believe I think you're going to have to see a 17-14, 21-17 type of game for Clemson to win this thing, because I don't think they can score more than that against this Alabama defense.
Well, first of all, let me say, I said I thought Washington had a chance to give Alabama some trouble, and I felt really good about that until the pick six. I think that, like you said, I overestimated Jake Browning. I thought that he was maybe close to being equivalent to Chad Kelly. That was not the case. He's not a bad. I mean, every quarterback looks bad when he's running for his life every single play. Mm-hmm. But his arm strength is not near what a elite level quarterback should be. So, but like you said, the thing about it is Alabama can have 10 penalties. They can throw for 57 yards and essentially bring in your second string running back, and he run for 180 yards. I mean, they're just so much. You can debate whether Washington should have been in the playoff or not, but they're a top 10 team. They're one of the 10 best teams in the country.
They're a top 6 team easily.
I think. So, and Alabama's that much better than they were. Now, on the other hand, you talk about moving forward to the Clemson game. Clemson's going to have to do what nobody else has been able to do this year. Between Gallman and Watson, they're going to have to approach 150 yards rushing between the two of them. They're going to have to put that together, because that's the only way you can do anything. You have to establish some sort of running game to bring Alabama's safeties up, because if they sit back and let their safeties sit back too deep, you got no chance. You got no chance. So they're going to have to. And is that possible with Watson? Maybe, but that's what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to find a way to run the ball against that front seven, and nobody's been able to do it so far.
I agree with you. At the same time, Clemson has an arsenal of wide receivers, and Deshaun Watson does seem to play best when the lights are brightest. He didn't have a great game against Pittsburgh because, frankly, the lights weren't that bright. It was Clemson-Pittsburgh. They were a heavy favorite. Everybody thought they'd roll over them. And give Pittsburgh some credit. I mean, they beat Penn State, who has turned out to be pretty good. They won the Big Ten. They beat Clemson. Won the ACC.
Defense that let them down that day.
A little bit of both, though. If you remember, there was a 4th and 1 they went for, and they didn't get it. You couldn't get it with
Watson. They
Watson.
give up 45 points.
Yeah. I know. I hear what you're saying. But Clemson's defense, that Dexter Lawrence, you talk about a guy that doesn't look like a true freshman.
Baby, yeah.
He is ridiculous. So I think unquestionably, and this is why I'm still a proponent of a 4-team playoff, the best 2 teams are in this thing. I don't think, can anybody say, Penn State should have been there because they won. Penn State would have gotten waxed by Alabama, and they would have gotten waxed by Clemson. I think that's pretty clear. And I think USC, they didn't deserve to be there because they had 3 losses. I think USC talent, man for man, is probably close. But, Alabama beat them 52-6. So let's take a little bit off for that. I think all games count in college football. I think in the end we got what we needed, which is the best 2 teams in college football.
And it's not to say that Clemson can't play a bad football game and lose to Pittsburgh, or they can't play a bad football game and leave other teams in the game. But for the most part, if these 2 teams play their best football, we got the best 2 teams.
Without a doubt.
And that's what we want to see. We want to see Deshaun Watson play well. We want to see this Alabama defense cause some problems. And if you're an Alabama fan, you'd like to see Alabama hit some plays. We just have. When's the last big play we've seen Alabama hit down the field, throwing the football?
Oh, throwing. Wow. And not counting something like a jet sweep.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a while. Now, Ardarius Stewart had a nice catch against LSU that got him deep, and I think Alabama actually went for it on fourth down on that drive and didn't get it. But that was to begin the third quarter. I don't remember a huge pass play against Auburn or Mississippi State, frankly. I mean, they had a huge pass play, but it was with jet sweep to Stewart. Against Florida, they put up 50-some-odd points. And I don't remember a big pass play. I remember some defensive stuff and some big running plays, but I don't remember a big passing play. I mean, it's just not in Alabama's repertoire, which is okay. Again, I feel like we're picking nits here, saying, well, Alabama can't throw the deep ball. Yeah, but they do everything. They play defense as well as anybody has that I've seen.
Oh,
I mean,
nobody is taking that away.
I hear you.
I preface this with, this is maybe the best front seven I've ever seen in college football. You can go back to the 80s and you can bring some of those teams up and we can talk about that. But in today's world, this team makes good teams look awful on the front seven. So I'm giving all of that. So it really doesn't matter.
Right.
I mean, Auburn goes in and plays, and how long did it take you to know we weren't going to score?
Against Oklahoma or against Alabama?
Both. Well, against Alabama, a quarter.
I knew that before we played.
But you definitely knew once we started.
Sure.
And against Washington, you watch that and you go, if Marlon Humphrey doesn't bite on a double move, there's no chance this team gets the football in the end zone.
But the problem with playing Alabama is, it's even if Marlon bites on the double move, do you have time to let him make that double move? You barely have time to let him make the move. I mean, I rewatched a little bit of the game again today. And I mean, Browning, you could tell he was like, I don't know what I'm going up against here. I haven't seen these guys. And then you hear the stats that you forget that they lost to USC. And again, I think Alabama is better than USC, obviously, but man for man, in the Pac-12, that's the closest thing to Alabama. And they gave Washington fits. I mean, we should have seen this coming, because if they couldn't handle USC at home, ain't no way they're playing Alabama anywhere.
Can you name a player that Ryan Anderson, because he's been under the radar since he's been at Alabama, and he was a great high school player from Daphne High School, came out with TJ Yeldon and won a state championship. He's best defensive player on that team. We were down there and actually had the opportunity to call. But the only player that I can think that stood under the radar and then all of a sudden was Courtney Upshaw, and you were like, my gosh, where did this freak come from? That's how good Ryan Anderson has gotten here to close to the end of the year.
I did think it was kind of funny. I get sort of tired of everybody saying, and you watch anything, they disrespected us, and so we had to come out here and show something. And Ryan Anderson, whom I love, and who I still to this day, I've done, well, how long have I done the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game? Maybe 9 years, plus or minus. He's the scariest interview I've done. When I was interviewing him, I thought he was going to hit me because I was on the football field. That's just what he does, is hit people. And he's had an interview after the game, and when he had the big play, and he was the defensive player of the game, and he said, yeah, people they've been disrespecting me. I'm like, I don't think anybody's disrespecting anybody on this defense. Now, people have to find their own motivation. But if an Alabama defensive player tells me their motivation is, I've been disrespected, I have a hard time believing it, because this defense has gotten nothing but accolades.
But he hasn't been talked about that much.
Hey, you got Jonathan Allen on the list, who's there.
You two continue this conversation in the break. We got to get
to
it. But when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about Clemson and their game with Ohio State, and we'll talk about Lane Kiffin and his exit and how that's going to affect Alabama moving forward. Don't go anywhere. More Sportz Blitz Live, presented by S&S Discount Tire and Lee Marketing Group, right after this.
Comfort is our number one concern. Advanced Heat and Air.
Advanced Heating and Air makes your comfort their priority for any season. Advanced Heating and Air is the region's Trane dealer and an Alabama Power Superior Solutions dealer that can save you money and energy with a new electric heat pump. Advanced Heating and Air maintains the region's best service team, so rely on us to make your comfort our number one concern. Call 234-5052, and we're there for you.
The Sure Shot, located on Highway 280 in Alexander City, is Lake Martin Sportsman's headquarters. In the market for a new rifle or shotgun? Come to the Sure Shot. Want a new bow or need to practice with the one you have? Come to the Sure Shot. Thinking about a firearm for self-defense? Come to the Sure Shot. Got a hunt planned and need some gear? Come to the Sure Shot. For all your archery, shooting, and hunting needs, let the Sure Shot be your first stop.
If your New Year's resolution is to stop walking and start riding, then resolve yourself to run to Lake Martin Truck and Auto on Old Dadeville Road. Lake Martin Truck and Auto is the bank, and you don't need to worry about past credit, getting your tax money, or finding the ride that suits you, because Lake Martin Truck and Auto has the lowest down payments and monthly payments in the area with the best selection. Don't let the Slick City dealer take all that tax money or hassle you with credit. Lake Martin Truck and Auto, Old Dadeville Road in Alex City.
If you're seeing the American cockroach, throw up the red flag. Ladybugs, throw up the red flag. Ants and swarming termites, throw up the red flag. And kudzu bugs, throw up the red flag. That's Red Flag Pest Control. So the caution is on. Call Red Flag Pest Control today.
I'm Scott Davis with Red Flag Pest Control, celebrating our 10th anniversary. Call me today, 256-825-0430.
Over the years, S&S Tires has grown into the Lake Martin area's largest volume tire dealer. S&S Tire offers the industry's best brand names: Michelin, Goodyear, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Firestone, and much, much more. The tire pros at S&S offer professional installation and the region's best price. In addition to your tire needs, S&S offers full automotive mechanical work for all your vehicle maintenance and repair needs with the area's most experienced staff. Visit either of our 2 locations on Cherokee Road in Alex City or at South Street in Dadeville. At S&S Tire, we're installing peace of mind for every customer we serve. Every job, every day.
Ready to put some fun in your life? Whether it's Central or East Alabama, North Alabama, West Georgia, or wherever you're from, Fun Carts of Opelika is your authorized easy-go kart dealer that has no limits on a perfect easy-go kart. Whether it's a fully customized cart or a stock-made cart, we'll deliver it on time and at the best price. Fun Carts gives you the service after the sale, so no matter if it's hunting, tailgating, motorhoming, fleet rental, or just a better way to get around, Fun Carts of Opelika has it and will customize it to your needs. Visit us in Opelika or call us or visit online for the best easy-go carts. Put a little fun in your life with Fun Carts of Opelika.
This segment of Sportz Blitz is brought to you by Bice Motors in Alexander City. Brian and his crew offer the latest lines of Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram vehicles, as well as the best used inventory around. Guaranteed lowest price. Bice.
Welcome back, everyone, to Sportz Blitz Live on this eventful Tuesday evening. And we were talking about Alabama in the previous segment, and I think we're going to go to the phone line and welcome in one of our favorite callers.
Before we do it, is there a drum roll we can put on? Because I think this is going to be epic.
James, you're on Sportz Blitz.
Hey, guys, how you doing?
We're good. Glad to have you, James.
Good. I'm going to go to Alabama real quick. Luke?
Yes, sir.
I think you may be in trouble this next week, buddy. I mean, I hear all the bashing from Alabama fans and Paul Feinbaum about Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin was the best thing that happened to Nick Saban in the last 3 years. Lane Kiffin is a play call. He didn't have a great game Saturday, but he is a play call. And for them to think that Sarkisian, whatever his name, gonna come and do what Lane does, I wish we had Lane down in Auburn. I wish I had Lane as my coach. Because Lane Kiffin knows his stuff. And Randy, I played college football, I coached, I did all these things. And Alabama's offense is not that good. They got great players. They don't have a great offensive line. With Clemson, they slant, they stunt. They do all different stuff. They're going to cause Alabama a problem. And then we go to this best defense, which they got a great defense. I take nothing away from them. Look who they played against in the SEC. Nobody. So now the test will be the test when they go give the offense with offensive firepower that you can spread them out and do the things with a quarterback. As I've seen before, they always have great defense, but when they run up against the offense that got great offensive skill people and players, quarterbacks, the offense looks like they do pretty well against their defense, but in the SEC, when you have no coaches, you're paying them all $5 million, and all these teams is
Yes, sir.
He sealed it. And it still behooves me that you and the other, announcers or radio guys can still see this with your own eyes and see that Gus is the man that leads this program. And you see the same stuff over and over every game. The man has no adjustment. The man don't have a secondary plan. And the man don't even know how to call plays no more. You're going to run Petway in the middle every single time. You put John Franklin, who's been over there 6 months, and you do the same thing with him. Alabama don't even know to run the quarterback with a quarterback sweep. We don't even run John Franklin with a quarterback sweep. So this is not on no players for me no more. This is Gus and them can sit these players down and we think they ain't no good and we think they'll bust. This is not about that no more. This guy don't know how to put players in position. Look at what Oklahoma does. Oklahoma does creativity. That's all. This is what today's football is about. Being creative. You can't. And then they think they can just run down Oklahoma's throat when Oklahoma got 9 men up there around the line of scrimmage. Bob Stoops said at halftime, I'm going to here, we'll make some adjustments. What did I overdo? If y'all think that this is the man to lead us from now on, and then we always holler about Pat Dow being involved in the program, Bobby Lauder being involved in the program, Jimmy Ray being involved. See, that's the difference in me. I wish they was involved in the program because they don't allow stuff like this embarrassment to go on every week when Gus come back and say, oh, the future is bright. Why is it bright? Because you got your stock in Stidham, you had the stock in Jeremy. See, I don't blame the quarterback. It's the system. When you only got one running play, halfway up the middle, when you only got 2 or 3 passing plays, route, 5 yards out route, how in the world can the players expect to do anything? Just like Alabama receivers can't do nothing now because the quarterback can't get them the ball. So but we going to say these great receivers we got, in the next 2 years, they catch 10 balls in 3 years. We going to say, oh, they was bust. They are not bust. None of those players over there bust. It's because we got a coach don't know how to utilize everything at his disposal. When you go to the Sugar Bowl, you had 30 days to prepare. What do you come out with? Nothing. Halfway up the middle, the same place as a running back guy. You want different plays, sweep, screen passes, out the backfield, something. Give me something to help me win a game. See, I can really say these 4 games or 5 games what we lost. This man really lost all 5 of them except for the Alabama game. He ain't give his sleepers no chance to win. And so for that guy, how in the world can we as Auburn people don't want Art Brown over there to be no offensive coordinator because we high and mighty. Don't want nobody with no pass. But Alabama Nick Saban can bring them in, nobody says nothing. So we as Auburn people think we high and mighty and we accept something like this here. But if Bobby Lauder and Pat Dow had their way, this would not happen. And for Gus Malzahn to think that he's going to be able to do this, Clemson going to be without Deshaun Watson next year. What if Clemson beat us next year? What we going to say then? Against, I'm going to say this last thing. Against Oklahoma, guys, I'm looking at the film room, I'm looking at ESPN. It wasn't how bad Oklahoma was going to beat us. That's the perception. Oh, man, Auburn got to do something this time. They don't do nothing this time. Oklahoma may walk away. What kind of perception that is? That you can go in a game and ain't even got a chance. You don't even know you get. People don't even think you got a chance at winning. And you're supposed to be a top 10 program. Thank you, guys. And Chip Kelly out there, we need to get rid of him now and go get Chip Kelly.
Thank you, James.
Whew, that's a lot to digest, isn't it? But first, can I just address his Alabama rant? First of all, Listen, I talked about it in the paper today. I think Alabama is in some trouble. It wouldn't even be an upset. I know Alabama's a 6.5 point favorite over Clemson. I could easily see Clemson winning this game. I mean, if you're an Alabama fan out there and you're saying Clemson has no shot, you're being blind, because Clemson is, I think, easily the second best team in the country. I do think Alabama's the best, but I think Clemson can beat Alabama. There's no doubt in my mind about it. I think it's going to be a dogfight. I think it's going to be very, very close. Now, going into the stuff that he talked about with Auburn, I totally agree with him. Randy, we were talking off air. I think we've got 4 years of Gus Malzahn, right? He's a 5-loss coach. That's what he is. He should have lost 4, maybe 5 games in his first year. He got incredibly fortunate. Coaches get lucky sometimes. Teams get lucky sometimes. He got lucky, just happened to be back-to-back with his 2 arch rivals. Since then, though, he loses 5 games because that's what he does. Just like Auburn's quarterbacks last night. There was nothing that epitomized Auburn's quarterback situation better than the Sugar Bowl last night. Shaun White gets hurt because you know why? He gets hurt every game. John Franklin III doesn't do anything. You know why? Because he's not a very good quarterback. And Jeremy Johnson throws a pick. You know why? Because he throws picks. That's what he does. They don't have a good quarterback there right now that you can depend on. Shaun White's got the heart of a lion. That's great. But he is built like the straw man. I'm sorry, I don't mean that in an insulting way, but somebody tell me how else you're supposed to put it when he gets hurt every single game that matters.
You want to start?
You go ahead.
Why don't you take a break and we come back? We need to go on this a little longer than this segment's going to allow us. I think we're about 4 minutes over.
That's fine.
On our second break, and we let Luke go, and mine's going to sound a lot like his, so unless you've got some positive to throw, be thinking about it during the break.
I'll see if I can conjure something out. Up against the break, but don't go anywhere. More Sportz Blitz Live right after this.
In a world that's ever-changing, you have to be sure that your choices are the right choices. At Central Alabama Community College, you'll know you made the best choice. Whether choosing a technical degree program, taking courses to transfer to a 4-year college or university, or being a part of our national championship winning traditions, get a sharper focus on your life by choosing one of our 3 convenient locations: Alex City, Childersburg, and Talladega. Central Alabama Community College. Central to you. Central to your success.
Don't you know there's no clean like Peaches and Clean?
Wow, your carpets look fantastic.
Yeah, thanks to Peaches and Clean.
They look new again.
They also clean my kitchen tile.
Simply amazing. I'm calling Peaches and Clean today.
Just call 502-5326. Oh yeah, they have an area rug cleaning facility too.
Peaches and Clean is now expanded to the Alexander City Lake Martin Market. Give them a call at 334-502-5326.
Call us up at Peaches and Clean.
Get the best seat in the house for every game this football season. Upgrade that old recliner for the comfort of FlexSteel from Holly's Home Furnishings. Stunning styles, incredible comfort, and FlexSteel's signature blue steel construction. At Holly's Home Furnishings, we offer a variety of different fabric and leather options, plus state-of-the-art power recliners. Come in and score big today with Holly's Home Furnishings' unbeatable selection and unbelievable everyday prices. Family-owned and operated Holly's Home Furnishings, located in Alexander City and Montgomery.
You know, these Zaxby's fried pickles really take me back to Meemaw's kitchen.
Yeah, Meemaw really would have loved these. Is that a time machine?
Yep, and I brought Meemaw back with me.
That's not Meemaw.
Ooh, okay, let's get you back inside.
Better than Grandma's? Maybe. Indescribably good? Definitely. Fried pickles are back. Lightly breaded, fried to perfection, and served with ranch sauce. Try them before they're gone. Zaxby's.
Look, anyone who thinks you gotta make a truck heavier to make it stronger has been working too long without a hard hat. Meet the all-new 2017 Ford Super Duty. They cut weight with a high-strength, military-grade aluminum alloy body and reinvested a big chunk of it to beef up the high-strength steel frame, forging the most capable heavy-duty pickup in America. Time to punch work in the face. This is the next level. This is the all-new Ford Super Duty.
Attention bow hunters and archers. Archery Connection has 30,000 square feet of wall-to-wall archery. bows, crossbows, and hunting supplies. Purchase a bow or crossbow and receive free service for life, free archery lessons for life, and 1 week of shooting on our indoor range. Video Archery, or our 45-yard indoor sight and range. Archery Connection is your one-stop shop for all your hunting and archery needs. Come see us at Archery Connection in Phoenix City, Alabama, where hunters and archers connect.
This segment of Sportz Blitz is brought to you by Dark Insurance, offering insurance for all your personal needs, including auto, boat, homeowners, and disability. Don't be in the dark. Call Dark Insurance at 256-234-5026.
Welcome back, everyone, to Sportz Blitz Live. We're talking about some interesting points that James brought up about the Auburn Tigers. We've heard these before, and he had a pretty good, well, it was a lengthy discussion about it. You had some things that you wanted to add to it, or you wanted to say?
Well, Luke brought up a point, and a lot of times Luke and I can get going back and forth, and while he's talking, I think of a couple of good backs I'd like to go back on him with, and I forget them. But one that I just remembered while we were talking during the break, I can live with 13 and 14. Of course I can live with 13. But I've said this time and time again, I can live with 14. Because for the most part that season, even after the Ole Miss game, we were ranked, second in the country? We played awful against Georgia, one game, played pretty darn good. Defense, we couldn't stop Alabama in a million years, but we go on the road to Tuscaloosa and lose 55-44, put up 700-some-odd yards, and they could have scored 70 if they needed. But we were up 24-7 at one point in that game, and it was a good football game. I mean, we were in it. I can live with that.
And throwing to do
throwing the football around with a quarterback that can make plays, and because we have to kind of go ahead and humor ourselves with this at this point. We've never seen what they're doing right now. I haven't in my lifetime. I've seen glimpses of where I thought, man, who can beat USC? But nothing like this that we're seeing. So being competitive should be a goal of ours, because being competitive with them puts us in top 5, top 10, year in and year out. 15 and 16, we are light years away. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
We can't score. We don't even look like we stand a chance to score against them, and I just can't stomach that. Now, does it take an exceptional quarterback to get us back over the hump? We hope. Does it have to be one that we import in, that comes in pretty much ready, and we roll him out there and he can make plays? What it's been so far. We haven't proven once that we can develop our own and turn him into a great quarterback. Sean White has glimpses. I'm not knocking that guy. When he's healthy, he's a pretty decent quarterback. He's a Pat Nix type, and that's not a bad quarterback. But is he Nick Marshall? No, sir. Is he Cam Newton? Of course not. Is he what we hope Jarrett Stidham is? Who knows? Heck, we put Jeremy Johnson up for the Heisman a few years ago, and we led the darn charge. I've been yelling his praises since he was a sophomore in high school, went on the road to Auburn High School and beat them from Carver when Auburn was undefeated. I've been yelling his praises, and boy, we didn't develop that one. So I have very little confidence that we can do that, and I don't know if that tells you what I think about this coaching staff in the future.
Well, I agree with you. I don't have any confidence right now. I mean, I must be insane, because I keep thinking sooner or later we're going to figure things out and we're going to evolve, as James so eloquently says that we don't run no routes on wide receivers, and we don't throw the ball well, and when we're bad, we're horrendous. So here's the truth of the matter: Auburn is a mediocre team in a mediocre conference right now. It's not just Malzahn. Think about this. Go back to 2008. 2007, we ended a 6-year run against Alabama. Since then, Auburn's 35-37 in the SEC. in 9 years. Now think about this. We went 15-1 in 2010 and 2013. So outside of those 2 years, we're 20, or we're what?
Yeah.
I mean,
25-2.
25-2. Well, we're 8-0 and 7.
Are you talking about just in the SEC?
Yeah,
Just in the SEC.
8-0 and 7-1. We're 15-1 in the SEC. So you take those away, and we're 20-36. We're 20-36 in the SEC.
Let me take it.
So this is reality. This is what it is. Now, here's the enigma that Auburn is. We won a national championship during that span. We've won 2 SEC titles. I mean, we've gone to highs that we've never been to before. So I didn't even know how to frame the argument anymore.
Andy, I'll tell you this, okay? There are a couple other things that are going to make you a little bit sad probably. Think about this. In 2015, I think Auburn had 1 touchdown against Georgia, right? I think because they lost 20-13 or something like that, was it not?
Yes.
Okay. This year they had 1 touchdown against Georgia. So they have two touchdowns against Georgia. 2015, they had 1 tip pass miracle touchdown against Alabama, or they wouldn't have scored a touchdown then. And they didn't have a touchdown this year. And then against Oklahoma, they have an opening drive, which is a thing of beauty, for a touchdown, and they call timeout with 2 seconds left to get another touchdown. And that's it. Those are your best competition, and that's how many points your offensive guru puts up. With all kinds of time to prepare, with all kinds of, now you've got wide receivers, you've got some weapons, you've got a running back everybody seems to love. I'm just telling you, the more I see of Gus Malzahn, the more I know what he is. And it was initially, okay, is he the 12-2 guy that took out Auburn to a national championship game, or is he the 8-5 guy who sort of collapsed at the end of the year? And then last year it was 7-6, but we got this guy hurt and this guy hurt. And this year it's, okay, we're 8-5, but you had your injuries again. Maybe you have your injuries again because you have guys that are injury prone. Some guys just get hurt. Sam Bowie got drafted in the NBA. He got hurt all the time. I mean, I think Akeem Olajuwon went second and Michael Jordan went third. I mean, Sam Bowie was a good player. He just was injury prone. Some people just are. And Auburn seems to have a team full of them. Now, I'm not saying it's anything to strength and conditioning, nutrition. It's just sometimes the luck of the draw. And I think that's one thing Auburn has is a bunch of guys who tend to get hurt.
I think we're up against another break. But we'll continue these discussions. Love to hear your opinion if you've got one. 256-234-6221. We'll, again, continue these discussions. We'll talk about anything you'd like to talk about. More Sportz Blitz Live on the way, presented by S&S Discount Tire, right after this.
If you've been putting off that new heating and air unit in your home because of the upfront expenses, Williams Plumbing of Alexander City now has primary financing from Synchrony and can now install brand new heating and cooling systems with 0 down, longer terms, and a competitive rate. Call Williams Plumbing at 256-329-8488 and get a free quote and terms and upgrade up to $35,000 in work with approved credit. Williams Plumbing stands behind their work with on-time affordable service for all your heating and air needs, as well as plumbing for 0 down financing and great service. Williams Plumbing.
Auburn Opelika has that perfect something for you. From sophisticated chic boutiques to exceptional dining, there's a retailer or restaurant to make your next visit special. Whether it's elegant fine dining or freshly squeezed lemonade, you'll find the perfect fit for every taste and budget. The food's great and the shopping is too. So be sure to check out the wide array of gifts, decor, clothing, and more. For every occasion, Auburn Opelika has what you're looking for. Let's make your next trip memorable. Visit Auburn Opelika.
At U.S. Ameribank, there's something very different at the heart of what we do and who we are. It's a spirit that also defines our neighbors, local businesses, and communities. Building on our 116-year history in Alabama, U.S. Ameribank provides something found nowhere else: craft banking. It's an unwavering commitment to handcrafted banking solutions that turns customers into enthusiastic fans. Visit usameribank.com or your local branch to discover the U.S. Ameribank difference. U.S. Ameribank. Banking on values. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
No pest is too big or too small for Lex Wedgeworth Pest Control. Protect your home or business today from insects, termites, mosquitoes, and more. Lex uses the latest state-of-the-art technology and equipment to solve your pest problem, including the environmentally friendly Centricon termite baiting system. Lex has been servicing the Lake Martin area for over 35 years and has a full staff on hand. Call Lex today, even if it's just a question, at 256-234-6162. Lex Wedgeworth Pest Control. Smart solutions to your pest problems.
Find everything you need for the perfect outdoor living space at Russell Do-It Center, like the Fire Rock Outdoor Conventional Fireplace. Smartly designed masonry systems that are easy to install and are less than half the cost of a scratch-built brick and mortar fireplace. Weber Grills, the best outdoor gas, electric, and charcoal grills, which always come pre-assembled. Yeti Coolers, premium coolers and accessories that are the ultimate in design, performance, and durability. Russell Do-It Center, experience and knowledge from the pros.
This sale only comes around once a year.
The year is almost over, but Vice Motors in Alex City is going out big. It's the Big Finish 2016. Big savings, big selection, big finish. Save on every Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Ram in stock. All 2016s have got to go. Grand Cherokee, Compass, or Patriot. Our selection of Jeeps has never been better. Save up to $13,000 off MSRP on Ram 1500 Crew Cab.
Come see us in Alex City. BuyChryslerDodge.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to Sportz Blitz Live. We're here talking about the Auburn Tigers and the debacle that was the Sugar Bowl and the program as a whole over the last several years. I don't think it's just Gus Malzahn. You can go back, obviously, to the Gene Chizik era. Auburn has got a losing record in the SEC since 2008, 35-37, 73-44 overall. So only a winning record against Mississippi State and Ole Miss from the West. They have a losing record against Vanderbilt. They are 2-1 against Kentucky, 2-0 against Tennessee, 4-0 against South Carolina, and 1-0 against Missouri. Thank the Lord for the Eastern Division. But going back to the game, I thought obviously there were two enormous plays in that game, and I think one of them speaks volumes about Gus Malzahn. It speaks volumes about this season. One of them was Auburn had Oklahoma early in the game in a 2nd and 35. Mm-hmm. They jump offside. Number one, they end up with a holding. They had him at 2nd and 25. They end up with an incomplete pass, but they get a holding penalty on Oklahoma. I was sitting there and I said, just decline it. Bring up 3rd and 25 and let's get them to punt and get the ball back. And I think we're up 10-7 at that time. But they take the penalty, make it 2nd and 35. Then, of course, we hold them on a little swing pass, offsides on Carl Lawson, lined up offsides. They get another crack at it and end up, I think, on a 3rd and 22. Maybe 22. They do a wheel route. Beautiful pass, beautiful execution, nice creative play call. First down, I thought that was an enormous play in the game. The other one, of course, is the 4th down. 4th and 6 inches, and you could see Rhett Lashley saying, go for it, go for it, go for it, go for it. And Malzahn finally said, okay, and then he wasted time, and then he had to call timeout. Then they changed their mind, and they punt. We ain't stopped Oklahoma in 4 drives. They just go up and down the field on us the whole time. We're sitting there at our 30, 35-yard line. If we can't get 6 inches with Cameron Petway right up the middle, which we'd got 2 yards every single time. I know Petway up the middle, that's not the favorite play. But if you can't get that, that's Gus Malzahn saying, I have absolutely no confidence in this offense. I don't have confidence in myself.
You know what was really telltale about this season, though, was the confidence level between those two coaches. You did make a feel for the better in the LSU game because it was to the point where you saw Gus Malzahn just rid himself of any conversation on what's going on with the offense. It's really the first time that I felt like there's maybe not discontent's the correct word, but questioning all the way around. Rhett Lashley questioning maybe himself on calls. Gus Malzahn questioning whether he should even be involved in the calls. and then he moves back in. You go to the Georgia game, it's almost like he's involved again.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very, very odd season all the way around, and it started with the oddest offensive game of my life, and we'll be talking about that one 20 years from now. that Clemson game.
Probably so. I'll tell you, to me, the one moment that was the story of the game, and y'all might think I'm nuts. Oklahoma misses a field goal. They pan down to Gus Malzahn. He's going nuts as if Auburn just threw a Hail Mary to win the game. And I thought, that's who's leading this team? A guy who's going crazy that Oklahoma missed a field. He didn't just give a fist pump. I'm talking about some of those booms and a bunch of them, and the running man. I think he threw a Cabbage Patch in there. He was just going ballistic, and I'm
like
thinking.
a Dabo thing.
But see, let me tell you something. That's where I wanted to go with this, because one thing, Brett, who's usually on this show, he's been on here, and I've agreed with him. He said Dabo Swinney is so goofy. There's no coach goofier than Gus Malzahn in college football right now. And if Dabo Swinney's goofy, then so be it. But you know what he's done is gone to the national championship 2 years in a row. And he's taken Clemson to places they ain't ever even thought of being. So Dabo's goofiness is working. I don't think Gus Malzahn's goofiness is working, because Dabo's goofiness is rooted in being genuine. I've known Dabo. He's a great guy. I've had some interaction with him. There's nothing phony about him. He is that religious, he is that committed, he's that passionate, and yeah, he can be a little bit off the wall. But the players relate to it. Gus Malzahn is goofy, but he lacks confidence. Sometimes it's like he's overconfident, but I think he's overcompensating for his lack of confidence. Just like you're talking about not going for it on fourth down, how can Auburn not go for that? How can they look and say, and I was thinking, Auburn's going to end up going for this and getting it. It's going to make me mad. And they should go for it because it's a bowl game, and why not? And I want to say one other thing about bowl games. Well, and we can talk about this in another segment. You know what? Everybody's just been killing bowl games. They're meaningless. If you watched that Penn State USC game, and didn't have fun, and you think they thought it was meaningless, you don't like college football. That was so much fun to watch. And so awesome, and neither one of those teams deserved a shot at a national championship, but they deserved to be in a great game in a great venue, and everybody had a blast.
I think they got lucky with the teams, though, Luke, because
Maybe.
when I watch a lot of the other games, like the Sugar Bowl, that sucker's nowhere near packed.
Forget being packed.
Well, but my question is at what point are we not getting as many Alabama fans out for a game? And does anybody care that when they watch the game, two-thirds or a third of it's not full? Does anybody care anymore about that?
I watch regular season games; they're not full. Have you ever watched an NFL game? There are 10 people there. Nobody's there. Nobody goes to NBA games. Nobody goes to any games. Because it's so easy to sit back and watch it now. But again, I thought the Superdome was pretty empty. But I thought the atmosphere that place captures a lot of noise, and I thought ESPN did a good job of making that fun. And another thing we got to talk about that we haven't, I can't believe it. We can talk about Lane Kiffin, but if we don't talk about the Keith Mixon situation, I mean, I don't know what we're doing up here, because that was
Musburger Mixon.
Well, Musburger Mixon, Auburn egging on Mixon going back.
Don't call him Keith Mixon. That's your guy.
Oh, not Keith Mixon. Sorry, Joe Mixon.
Yeah.
God, yeah, I'm sorry, Keith Mixon. I love Keith Mixon.
Yeah.
Joe Mixon. Keith Mixon, of course, of Mississippi State, we love from Shades Valley. But Joe Mixon, you know, I sat up here and killed him. I think we all killed him initially when that video came out. But then he's in the game. The Auburn fans are killing him, which I think any fan base would have done. And he's sort of telling them to come on with it. It did make you feel a little greasy. And then Musburger saying, going on and on about his second chance. Look, Brent, we got it. He's already got his second chance. You don't have to defend him anymore. We just don't want to hear about it anymore. This is the shady side of college football we don't want to bring up. But it's funny that James called in and brings up, why can't we bring in Art Briles? Well, you're the same fan base that was just killing Joe Mixon. You can't, if you think Joe Mixon was bad, you can't bring in a coach that was the head man during a quote alleged rape culture. You just can't do it, right?
Last night, Musburger was my issue, though. Was it yours? He looked like he had an agenda going in. He made it. And then he was either told during the break that he was getting blasted.
No question.
He doubled down, Randy.
And then he doubled down and made it a lot worse. And I lost a lot of respect for him with that. I mean, whether you're going to crucify Joe Mixon, whether you're going to crucify Stoops for allowing him back and the administration for allowing him back and reading into the whole situation where Oklahoma, all they did is redshirt him a year.
That's right.
Give me a break. They didn't suspend him a year. That's humorous. They didn't. So don't be, oh, well, we made him sit out a year. Come on, Bob. We're not idiots. We didn't roll out from off that turnip truck yesterday. But Musburger was, to me, Andy, what turned me off a little bit.
Well, I don't know about the whole. I actually tried to take the other side of it when the video came out on that show that we did, and I see Musburger's point, and I don't. It's not the right time. I mean, all you could. And here's another. I mean, Minnesota fires their coach today for a tweet he made. About and that whole thing that happened at Minnesota, and that kind of this whole culture of one sentence you say is, or one act that you perform is the end of your life as we know it. But we can get into those things. We got to get to a break here real quick.
I want to stop you right there though, because I get what you're saying, and I do think he deserves a second chance. Do I think he should be playing college football? No, I don't. I just don't. I don't think you can do that to a woman, and not all second chances are created equal.
Well, look, think about it from this perspective. It's better for her if he does, because she's suing him in a civil court, and she's not going to get anything because he's not worth anything.
I'd rather have my job.
But if he gets a contract, and if she gets a contract, and she gets half of his paycheck for 2 or 3 years, I think she'd be okay with it.
But you got to say this, while you're right that as a society, if you have one misstep, I mean, look at Steve Sarkisian. He goes from one little slight pick to biting his fingernail, and everybody says, oh, he's eating. It's just, so, I mean, one misstep, you're being, he was in there knuckle deep. I'm not going to lie, he was in there knuckle deep. But who amongst us has not had to go in there knuckle deep before?
I've never done that on national television.
Okay, because we're not on national TV. But I'm going to tell you, there's sometimes that we're glad Michael didn't have these cameras rolling. But I get what you're saying. But I do hate it that Joe Mixon is getting all this, give him a second chance, and he's getting all the limelight. Meanwhile, this girl, I mean, for all I know, she may still be eating through a straw because he knocked her into next Tuesday. And it's just not, there's something wrong with that too, that we're all worried about his second chance and not worried about her health.
Got John Garcia coming up next. I'll step aside, let y'all two interview. Got a lot of recruiting to talk about, Luke.
A lot.
Where's he been? Where's Garcia
been? He's been at the Under Armour game last week. I think he's at the U.S. Army All-American practices this week in San Antonio.
Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned for that. John Garcia Jr. coming up next on Sportz Blitz Live.
It's time to zero in on huge savings at Lynch Nissan of Auburn. 0% financing is back in a big way on many of your favorite Nissan models, but only for a limited time. Buy today and save up to $11,000 off MSRP on remaining 2016s as we make room for the 2017. Get up to $7,000 off MSRP on the new Altima SL or 0% for 72 months. Just click it and pick it now at lynchnissan.com. Lynch Nissan of Auburn, I-85 at exit 51.
So, you may not know it, but you've seen our work everywhere. For a combined 50 years, SignSource has been Central Alabama's premier option for all your sign needs. Custom signs for your business, club, or organization. Wraps and decals for your vehicle or boat. Full-color banners for your big sale, or a photo collage on canvas for grandma. All with fast, friendly, prompt service. Check out our website at signsourcenow.com. 888-533-6758. Go straight to the source. SignSource.
Boaters in the Lake Martin area know whether you need service, maintenance, repairs, a great selection of pre-owned boats, or a brand new Landau pontoon. Alex City Marine at the corner of 63 and 280 is there for you. Thanks to a record-setting sales year, Alex City Marine now has one of the finest pre-owned inventories they've ever had. Repairs, service, routine maintenance, for all your boating needs. See the pros the locals know. Alex City Marine at the corner of 63 and 280. Check them out online at alexcitymarine.com.
I'm attorney Dane Sharp. Here at my office, we want to be different than the big city billboard lawyers. We want to give your case the personal attention that it deserves. We handle auto accidents, tractor-trailer accidents, and other cases where our clients have been injured and need personal legal attention. To me and my staff, you will not just be another number on the case file, and we will return your phone calls. So if you've been injured, give me a call today or visit us on our website.
Textile left. Our economy was threatened. Then the Hyundai and parts supplier plants opened. Now our economy is thriving. Our friends and neighbors build some of the finest cars in the world. Yearly national and international awards. Compare Hyundai of Auburn, America's best warranty, in creating local jobs and growth. Compelling reasons to compare. This week at Hyundai of Auburn, 0% interest, $149 leases, and $4,000 cash back, plus other discounts. You owe it to yourself and your community. Hyundai of Auburn.
Lyman Ward Military Academy in Camp Hill, Alabama, known worldwide for programs and outstanding facilities designed to prepare young men for future success. Young men who are academically prepared for a rapidly evolving economy, morally prepared through character development and spiritual guidance, physically challenged by preparing for athletic competition, and prepared to be leaders in their careers through the structure of military discipline. Lyman Ward Military Academy, over a century of preparing youth for the work of life.
This segment of Sportz Blitz is brought to you by Satterfield on Highway 280 in Alex City. Satterfield is the Lake Martin area's Big Green Egg and Accessories headquarters.
Welcome back into Sportz Blitz Live. Luke Robinson flying solo for just a minute. Want to bring in my good friend John Garcia of Scout.com. He is at the U.S. Army All-American game in San Antonio, Texas. He was just at the Under Armour All-American High School game in Orlando this past week, so he is up to date on everything recruiting, just like he always is. John, how are you tonight?
Cannot complain, my friend. Get to see football every day, and signing day is getting closer, and a big game next Monday night as well, so all's going pretty well.
John, we got to start this whole thing off talking about Najee Harris. I don't think there's any doubt that is the most intriguing story in all of high school recruiting right now. Will it be Alabama? Will it be Michigan? He is a guy that shies away from the limelight, which is totally oxymoronic because he is number one player in the country. But what do you think happens here?
You know, I've never seen a kid go through the process this way. Again, like you said, number one player in the country, doesn't love the media, but at the same time isn't, doing anything concrete enough to sort of get the media away, which would be to pick a school and get it over with that day. So it's quite the oxymoron, if you will. I'm not sure where he goes at this point. I know there's positivity and optimism on either side of the coin. I know both coaching staffs, our scout sources have been in contact with over the last week or so, feel cautiously optimistic, but there's certainly worry, and again, along with that optimism. So he's really pulling the line here between Alabama and Michigan. It's as close, if you will, as it's ever been. I still think Bama has the edge. It's the familiar school. It's the school he's been committed to for 2 years. He's very familiar with the commitments, including Tua Tagovailoa, who told me today he's flying to Tuscaloosa right after the game on Saturday, and Najee's flying with him. They're rooming together in Tuscaloosa. So, I mean, that's one of the most optimistic and positives for Alabama. But there's some, Michigan commits saying things in a similar fashion. So it's truly up in the air at this point. And he said he's not going to make an announcement. I'm sure the Army Bowl people would love for him to make the announcement to do the hat thing at the game, but he's not going to do that. He's simply going to play the game, change, say hello to his family, and then take off to his college destination. It's something I don't think I've seen or heard of at this point in the modern recruiting era, and he's not going to do any interviews that day either. So we may not even know until he shows up in either Tuscaloosa or Ann Arbor. It's, as you said, it's the number one storyline in the country overall, and especially this time of year as we get closer to his enrollment date. It'll be January 7th, January 8th, no matter what, basically, so this weekend.
I imagine he will have a lot of people following him to the airport just to see where he buys his ticket, right?
Well, I would guess that both tickets have already been purchased. Now if he goes and checks in to get his boarding pass and all that, then you'll get the clearer indication. But if there's going to be a stretch in ethics, it will come around Najee Harris from the journalism perspective. I won't be included in that, but I think it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility in today's world of instant news. I don't think we'll have to wait until he arrives, and we may break the news when he's actually in the air at this point, but we'll have to wait and see.
You brought up Tua Tagovailoa. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm going to stick with Tua T. Patent pending on my nickname created for him. But Tua T has been pretty phenomenal, it looks like, in some of these practices. He's really been dropping dimes. Of course, he's not going up against any competition right now, but I think he's really impressed in the Army All-American practices.
He has, he's sort of doing what he always does, but he's doing that stuff extremely well. I don't think a quarterback's shown a stronger arm this week in San Antonio, and he's had the throw of the day throughout, the first 4 practices. Yesterday it was down the line to Tariq Black on a post route that was just as pretty as can be with plenty of force, and today it was a corner route in the back pylon of the end zone to Henry Ruggs, who's a state of Alabama guy. So he's had the 2 throws of the day and the 2, best wow plays from any quarterback. He was probably a little bit better yesterday compared to today. Did throw a couple of interceptions today, but when he's decisive and knows where he's going with the football and makes that decision, that the time between that and the ball landing in the receiver's hands has been quicker than any other quarterback. Still want to see a little more touch out of him, but his decision-making has been good. The arm strength has been great.
You brought up Henry Ruggs. This is a guy that I absolutely love. Saw him in the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game, returned the opening kick for a touchdown out of Robert E. Lee. He and Devonta Smith, 2 other Alabama wide receiver targets, are down there at the Army All-American game. How are they looking, and which one of the 2 do you think is standing out the most?
Man, that's a very good question. I thought we would see them on the same team because Smith is from Louisiana and Ruggs is from Alabama, but lo and behold, Devontae Smith's playing on the West roster, and Henry Ruggs is on the East roster, and Tua's playing on the East roster as well, which, again, he's from Hawaii, so kind of the interesting, roster selections there. I think both have been very good. They both, sort of like Tua, they've emphasized what we've already thought. Henry Ruggs, very good routes, explosive, really good after the catch. Devontae Smith, sort of smooth. Think of a Calvin Ridley type of player who you may not think he's running very fast, but, you watch the tape and he's seemingly jogging by guys who run 4.4. Devontae, he showed a lot of grit today, too. I think that was really the most intriguing thing. There's a semi-viral play that happened today. Richard LeCounte, the Georgia cornerback or safety commitment, jammed Devontae out of bounds and pushed him over a bench. And it was sort of this wild play, not only for LeCounte's strength and stick-to-itiveness, but for Devontae's safety. Devontae came right back and won just about every rep after that point, and he embarrassed some guys in the process. So he showed some tenacity there, some grit, despite what looked like an injuring type of play. So I like that a lot from Devontae. He really brushed it off after that. So they're similar in that they're frail guys, 160, 170 pounds for each of them, both just over 6 foot. I think Devontae's probably faster, that top end speed. Ruggs maybe a little bit quicker, a little more explosive with the football in his hands. But either way, Bama would love to get their hands on both of these guys. And if I had to call it right now, I think Bama's in the driver's seat for each of their recruitment. But we won't find out where either's going for at least 3 more weeks.
I want to go back to the Under Armour All-American game for just a second, because a guy that I've loved on tape that was mentioned with Alabama early, he won't end up there. Everybody's worried about maybe some grade situations, and that's Jeff Thomas. Showed out with 2 touchdowns, and he's just got moves for days. I thought he was absolutely incredible in this game. What do you think about him? And I know it's not going to be so much a local thing, but do you think he ends up at Illinois? That's where most people have him pegged.
Yeah, I mean, I wish, we do slot receiver rankings. This is something that I know I've campaigned for. Chad Simmons, who's my boss at Scout, we've campaigned for in the South. We want slot receivers to almost get their own category, because if we did, there's no doubt Jeff Thomas would be a 5-star guy. He is a matchup nightmare. He simply cannot be covered one-on-one by a cornerback or a safety. He's cat quick with his routes, and after he catches the ball, and everyone who watched this game saw him as he broke the game's receiving record. He's electric. He can set up a defender after the catch and accelerate with just so much consistency. He's a nightmare. He's simply a nightmare to the point where his academics, I don't think, are going to prevent him from landing at a big school. I'm not going to say anybody's going to bend the rules, but let's just say I think other schools will find a way to get this kid in. No disrespect to Lovie Smith in Illinois, which is the in-state school for him, but I just get the sense that an Oregon, a Tennessee, Missouri possibly, somebody is going to sort of figure out a way to get this kid into their class of 2017 and see how his spring semester goes. I know Oregon did recently just offer, as did Tennessee, so schools are going to hit the gas for him, and this was before that game on Sunday, so it's only going to increase. I expect him to have a sort of wild and crazy January of visits leading up to his final decision, but I think this is going to ultimately hurt the Illini, which would still be the safe pick for him right now. But again, once those other schools materialize, I envision him ending up at just, frankly, a better football school because he's that type of kid. And there's a reason he's a top 50 player in the country already on Scout.com, a number that certainly will not go down after what he did last week in Orlando.
How surprising was it to you that Xavier McKinney recommitted to Alabama when everybody in the world thought he was going to Clemson?
Yeah, this was a top 2 or 3 surprise for me for kids who have committed to Alabama. He kept it a secret from everyone, including not only the Alabama coaches, but the Clemson coaches, his parents, his teammates. His high school coach or an assistant at his high school was telling reporters that he was going to Clemson. He did a story with another network about going to Clemson. He did an unbelievable job of keeping this to himself. He said he told not one soul that he was going to Alabama. So the Crimson Tide coaches found out, as the rest of us did, there on Sunday. And I think you saw it if you watched the game. His dad's reaction was, you were like, why is his dad so surprised? It's because he didn't know. He was so surprised that he started clapping, and he sort of banged on Xavier's shoulder pads in excitement for him recommitting to the Crimson Tide. I think that illustrates just how much of a secret it was for him. He didn't want it out there. He wanted to make a little bit of a splash, and he definitely did. He fooled just about everybody. And in the meantime, Bama gets a pretty balanced safety who can play the pass and the run extremely well, and a kid, obviously, that they're very familiar with.
All right, John, final question. Who do you expect to stand out this upcoming weekend, and who's going to make an announcement that may have a tie to Alabama or Auburn?
Yeah, not a lot of Bama-Auburn flavor. Some guys that they had pursued before are making announcements, guys like Foster Sarrow, who's the #1 offensive tackle in the country. And who knows, maybe the Army people convinced Najee to drive the ratings with an announcement. I would suspect that would probably double whatever the Army Bowl ratings normally are if he decides he wants to make his decision on national television. But I'm expecting the stars to shine. This Army Bowl roster is loaded, including Najee, including Florida State commitment Cam Akers. That's sort of the on-the-field storyline coming in. Who's the best back in the country? Najee on the west, Akers on the east. The quarterbacks are also very good. Not only Tua on the east, but Jake Fromm, the former Bama commitment, who's now headed to Georgia, Hunter Johnson, the Clemson commitment as well, and Tate Martell, maybe the kid who's had the best high school career in the history of big-time football, certainly in this era. Never lost a game at Bishop Gorman. He'll lead the West team. So I think the game will be pretty fun. The quarterback, running back options on either roster is just simply scary to look at, and I think those guys will shine on Saturday in the Alamo Dome. We're looking forward to it.
John, you're the best in the business.